everyone, this is Mindy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you two cards created with the September 2020 My Monthly Hero Kit from Hero Arts. These are jam-packed with value. This one is $80 in value for only $34.99. You can see we have an Heroscape coordinating dies, a 3x4 clear stamp, 5 ink cubes, and 6 8.5 by 5.5 glitter sheets, all included in this kit. I'm going to walk you through two different color combinations that I used in creating my cards today. The first thing I'm going to stamp out is the background of the corn stalks. Now I'm using Dove White cardstock, and you can see I had brought in another layering stamp that goes with this, just so I make sure I have enough room on my cardstock. I'm starting by stamping this in Butter Bar ink, and I'm using my black Misty to do all of my stamping, and I'm going to do two of these, so I'm just going to flip my cardstock and I'll be able to create another one down on the other side. Now, just by switching up the colors that we use can really change the scene of our card. So after I have that first layer done for the corn stalks, I'm going to bring in caramel. Some people say caramel, I say caramel. So one of these front pieces of the corn stalks, I'm stamping in caramel. And then I'm going to clean my stamp off really well with the Hero Arts Ultra Cleaner and stamp my other one in pumpkin pie. They're very similar, so you could use the same color for both if you wanted. Now I'm bringing in this next layer. So I'm starting with the background of the pumpkins, lining that up right up to the corn stalks. And this first one, I'm going to stamp in moss ink. So just make sure you're inking that up really well. You could see I didn't do a very good job of inking because I have some lines on there from my ink pad. So I'm going to stamp it again, which is one of the beauty of having a Misty tool. After this second layer is stamped, I'm going to flip the cardstock, and now I'm going to stamp with Key Lime Fizz. This is a reactive ink, so this is going to be for my more simple fall scene. The moss that I had used is more of my creepy background set, so Key Lime is a really nice bright color to start that layering process. And I do stamp that one a couple times. Now I'm going to flip back over to my darker set, lining up those pumpkins. So this is the base layer of the pumpkins, and I'm going to use an ombre ink pad. This is Butter Bar 2 Orange Soda. In this more dark looking one, I do use a lot of the ombre ink pads. I honestly had never used them before, so I'm having a lot of fun having those different shades of color all in one. Now this other one, I'm going for Creamsicle, sticking with kind of this light, airy, more fall-looking card. And then I'll flip my cardstock again to stamp the second layer of the pumpkin. So I hope you're not getting dizzy here with all the flipping that I do, but it really is a time saver to do two of them at once. So this second layer, I'm using another ombre ink pad. This is Light to Red Royal. And I kind of move across my stamp and then up and down just a little bit so it isn't such a stark transition between the two colors. Then I'm going to bring in Fruit Punch for my lighter background or my lighter layering image. And going back to the darker one, you can see my stamp is very well loved. I'm going to bring in the ombre Brown to Cup of Joe. And this one just really packs the punch on this dark background. This one is really great for nighttime scenes if you kind of want to make this a little more spooky. And it's fine the way it is. This is adding leaves detail, but I'm adding another layer of this or another coat of ink to really deepen that up. Now back to my light one, I'm going to come in with Green Apple and stamp this down. And this is actually going to complete the layering process of this Heroscape, of this pumpkin patch Heroscape. Then off screen, I did stamp in the middle of my panel here the hay bales, the crow, and a couple of scarecrows to complete some of my scenes. And I'll use the coordinating dies to die cut all of these out, just holding them in place with some Post-it tape. I'm going to start working on my more light card, kind of a more traditional fall scene. And I'm starting with a piece of Arctic cardstock. It's just a really nice light blue, lining up my Heroescape that I die cut out, and I have here the Cloudy Sky die. So I'm figuring out about how much of the cloud that I want popping up from behind those corn stalks, and then I'm going to just kind of shift that over onto the white and die cut that out. And I think this just adds such a great touch. You don't have to have the clouds, but it is really nice to add to the scene. Before I glue anything down, I want to bring in a sentiment, so I'm using this small 3x4 clear stamp set that's filled with some great fall or Halloween sentiments. Once I picked mine, I'm lining it up on my cardstock, making sure it's straight by using the Misty Corner tool, and then I can pick that up with the Dora the Misty and make sure to remove all of my pieces so I don't get any ink on my beautiful white clouds that I have. Then I'm stamping these in the intensified black ink from Hero Arts. Now I also have some birds here. These are crows. I did a little stamp surgery for a previous card, so there's actually another couple crows flying around, so I just have the few there. Now I can go ahead and start attaching my panels. So I have the clouds first, and then my pumpkin patch that I'm just attaching with a dot runner. Then I can finish off the scene by attaching a couple of these hay bales. The one on top is going to be added with foam squares, and I'll put the crow on top of one of my bales of hay and my little scarecrow. And this is actually like the perfect fall scene. I actually saw some of these this weekend driving around. I live in Wisconsin, so I am a huge fall fan, and I just love going to pumpkin patches and corn mazes. So that is a look at the first card, kind of weaning you into the spooky one that we'll be creating next. Now for my next one, off screen I went ahead and die cut from Pebble cardstock 2 of the cloudy backgrounds. So my clouds are going to be layered together, but we're going to kind of make them pop just a little bit more. So I'm going to ink blend a little bit on these. I'm using a blender brush and some of the intensified black ink, and I'm just going to lightly put some of that black ink on the tippy tops of the clouds. I don't want to go down too far because my corn stalks are going to be down there. So I'm just adding a little bit of that black ink. And I know that my background is going to be kind of a dark blue. So afterwards, I decided to add a little bit of the navy ink to the tops of my clouds, and that kind of ties into the background really well. So here's the navy ink. You don't need a lot. You don't even need to do the navy if you don't want to. I think it just adds a lot of interest and just kind of really gives this that spooky feel that I love. For the background, I'm going to be using one of my favorite colors out of the Hero Arts cardstock line, and that's the Lapis cardstock. So I'm lining up the clouds, just seeing how far down I need to bring my ink blending, and I'm starting with navy ink. So starting off the cardstock, moving onto it really lightly, kind of bringing that down, and I want it to kind of fade off into that lighter color. So every now and then I'll bring in the clouds just to make sure that I'm leaving room of that Lapis cardstock in the background, kind of give it a little bit of a glow. You could always add some sea salt ink to that if you did extend your color down a little bit too far. Sea salt is a great ink that isn't too bright, but does just kind of help make that pop a little bit more. And I did top it off with a little bit of the intensified black ink. Now for some stars, I'm using the Gold Glimmer Metallic ink, diluted that with a couple drops of water, and then I'm just going to flick that all over my background with a paintbrush. Now I can't have a spooky background without a moon, so I die cut a circle using either an infinity nesting circle or the circle off of the Cloudy Sky die cut. And I'm ink blending this with a lemon drop. Now I don't need to do the whole thing because part of it's going to be tucked behind the cloud. So I'm adding lemon drop here, and then I will bring in fruit punch. And that's really going to make this kind of a spooky supermoon. So after I blend those together, I'm going to add a sentiment to my Heroescape that I had created. I want to make sure I get my sentiment done before I start attaching anything. So once again, just lining that up on top of that cardstock and then using the Misty Corner to help straighten that out. I did think about heat embossing that, but I didn't want to do white. I really liked the black. I just thought that kind of kept with the spooky background. And then I can start putting my card together. So I have my main card base there out of nautical cardstock that's 4¼ by 5½, a piece of white cardstock that is 5¼ by 4 inches, and then my ink blended panel that I have as 3¾ by 5 inches. And I'm starting with the moon, tucking that behind the clouds, and then just adding those clouds with a tape runner and the Heroscape. Now, one more thing I almost forgot is on this Heroscape from the My Monthly Kit is this cute little jack-o'-lantern face. So I'm just using an acrylic block and the intensified black ink to stamp that fun face on one of my pumpkins. I'm so glad I remembered that. I almost forgot that cute little guy. And I also have those crows. Like I said, this is actually where I had done stamp surgery because I didn't want a lot of them. I just wanted a few to be flying across that moon. And then, of course, my finishing touch is adding my scarecrow. So we have 2 cards using the same stamp set, but very different feels to them. We have a really nice light and airy card, and then we have this kind of more spooky Halloweenish. So there's lots of ways to use this, just depending on your style. I like them both. So I hope you enjoyed these coloring combinations that I had used. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in the video description. If you enjoyed today's video, I would love a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos from me. I want to thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time.